can we bring Randy Galloway onto the screen? Kev, can we make that happen? I see him. Right now we don't have the okay.
Hello, Matt.
Oh, Randy, that's perfect. Because this can be yeah.
I have a radio face, so that's why they're. And I'm also old and stupid. That's a
Well,
bad combo. So that's why we
yeah.
haven't been able to figure out the Kevin and I, your man Kevin and I have been working on it. We hadn't been
You
able to figure out the screen part of it yet.
you would enjoy Kevin, Randy. He kind of reminds me of some of our old producers. He's not a man that gets a lot of haircuts. Of course, I don't either these days. He's got a bit of a hippie vibe to him. And now the one thing he did, Randy, that you and I would have never considered doing, he's a man in his mid-40s who has 7 children. All right, and I think I only had one. You had a couple, but I think that's all we could. That's really all we could handle, right? But
afford, yeah, the main thing. That's all I could afford. Hey, I'm all for Kevin. Though. I like that.
Yeah,
I like the hippie thing with 7 kids.
Yeah, he's doing well. They live in a commune. No, I don't know. They have a good time, and they have an incredible family. Well, there he is. If you could see your screen right now, look at Kevin. Right. Oh, and Randy, he just won he went to Indiana. He graduated from the Indiana, and they just won the national title. So he's feeling
absolutely
better about things. What he's probably trying to do as we speak, Randy, is find a nice young photo of you. I hope he finds one when you had that great dark mustache and dark hair back in your morning days. And we can use that. Did you get to, Randy, while we're doing this, and I'm just glad people can at least hear your voice. You sound great. Did you get to watch the Aguirre ceremony? I don't know. I was there in the arena. I just didn't know exactly how they presented this thing on TV or I know you're on some social media, although you made fun of us for texting for years until you realized that texting was kind of a great thing. And it could keep you from having to call everybody all the time. Did you get to watch any of that ceremony? And how happy were you for Mark Aguirre for his jersey to finally be retired?
Well, number one, I think the thing went on forever. I don't know how long. It seemed like it was 35, 40, forever, the halftime deal. And so no, I didn't catch a lot of that. I did catch, I guess, the highlights on all the local sports shows. And number one, I am happy for Mark Aguirre. And a lot of people, they got to be old to remember it. But, look at that. That's that old mustache. Man. And no gray hair. What the heck happened?
You really haven't changed that much. I mean, you still kind of look like that guy. We need a cigar. I think you need a cigar there.
Looks like a guy who just did a couple of joints or something. I don't know. Back in the day when Mark Aguirre played for the Mavericks, I don't think anybody, maybe a few, but not many, were as hard on him as I was. Because, Matt, while I am very glad that this has happened.
Yeah.
And even though it happened with people who don't have a clue about what really went on with Mark Aguirre back in the day, that's that doofus owner out of Vegas. And this other guy that's in there now is some kind of president of the team or whatever he is.
Yeah.
But back in the day, Mark Aguirre was a very controversial figure in Dallas. And people will ask, have been asking here lately, why is this taking so long? Why are we going on nearly 40 years? Why did this take so long? Well, I'll tell you, it's because Mark Aguirre was a total a-hole here. But a great player. So you combine everything in years and years and years. I was going, okay, let's forget what happened. Let's just move on. And this idea of let's remember him for the player he was. And if somebody associated now with the club wants to put him, hang his number up in the rafters, good. Be done with it. I will point out this, though. While these outsiders have done it, remember that all the years Mark Cuban on this team, he didn't do it, Matt.
No.
Why didn't he do it? Because back in the day, out of college, moving to Dallas, Mark Cuban was a heck of a Mavericks fan.
Yeah.
Talks about setting up in the rafters at old Reunion Arena and watching those teams in the 80s. And so Mark Cuban knew the story of Mark Aguirre, knew it was a controversial story. He never put the numbers up in the rafters. But I repeat, it's done and good for Mark. And God, he seemed to love it. He just seemed to be overwhelmed by it, and good for him. But let's don't forget this much. The reason he hasn't been up there, and none of the stories we're reading about all this are saying this, he was a total a-hole in Dallas as a player, but a great player.
Yeah.
And, okay, great. A Dirk greatness, no. But an outstanding, nearly great player, I'll put it that way. Heck of a player, however we want to put it.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because you started writing columns about the time he was drafted, and kind of wild to think back of he and Rowe coming in at the same time, and then the young pup Harp comes in probably about a year or two later.
Yeah, I think a year, but I'm not sure.
Okay. And then Jay Vincent was there early.
Yeah.
And those were some ragtag teams early. Randy, what was the vibe? I was at that. I was at those games as a kid. Dad taking me up from Kaufman County. I was actually in the Junior Mavs club, if you can believe something like that. But the reunion rowdies, did they take to this team like overnight, or did they kind of have to start winning a little bit, get Aguirre, Rowe, start to turn the tide in whatever that season would have been, probably 81, 82, when maybe you started to see a light at the end of the tunnel? What was the relationship like with this team there at the very start? How long did it take to kind of take hold?
Well, and I was surprised. And by the way, a lot of people were asking that question, including Bob Folsom, the great former mayor, the late great Bob Folsom of Dallas. There would not have been a Reunion Arena if it wasn't been for Bobby Folsom. But excuse me. But a lot of people, were wondering, is the NBA really going to go in the so-called football town? And right away, I was shocked at the reception it got. Years later, I was shocked at the reception initially that the Dallas Stars got. But with hockey of all things, that initial reception. But Matt, you said it. I mean, it was a buildup. The reaction to start with was good. The attendance was good. But to get into that reunion rowdies and all that, everything going on, and the Rolling Stones Start Me Up playing and booming, that had to hit about 83 and 84. Getting back to Aguirre, the one thing that made Aguirre stand out as something less than a team guy is that you had Roe Blackman, you had Derek Harper, you had Brad Davis, you had real Jay Vincent until they traded him. Huge mistake there. But those were the ultimate team guys, just outstanding team guys. And then you had Mark kind of off on his own. Mark was about Mark. And again, heck of a player. I want to keep emphasizing that. And their leading scorer, but he was a different cat from everybody on that club. And, Dick Motta as a coach didn't take a lot of crap. And so Dick Motta was the kind of guy that, he would call out Mark, not in the media, but not publicly anyway. But so that kind of festered, but it wasn't Motta's fault. It was Mark Aguirre's fault. So we had you had a lot of intangibles there, a lot going on in the whole process. But I think number one, Mark stood out. His attitude, the way he carried himself, the way he thought of himself. You had all these great team guys, the Rose, the Harps, the Brad Davids, on and on and on. And they were bringing in great guys. And then there was Aguirre, and that caused everything to stand out. And it built and kind of got heated. But boy, when the reunion rowdies started rolling, Matt, that was probably 84. That place was, I have never been in the Louder Arena in all my days, and I spent 50 years as a sports writer at the morning, 33 at the Morning News, 17 at the Star Telegram, all of them here. And I've never been in a louder arena than Reunion when it was rocking, and particularly that probably 84, 85, maybe 85 playoff series with the Showtime Lakers. That was as good as it could get, game-wise and crowd-wise. Wow. Those were, as we say, man, you should have been there. Those were the days. Now, you may have been there as that kid.
Yeah.
Coming in from Kaufman, coming in from out in the country.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were there. It was packed out.
Yeah. We kind of make it sound like I came in on a horse and buggy or something.
Load of watermelons.
I mean, I could last night they were kind of using some of the old graphics on the board. And, those of us that have been watching the Mavericks forever, kind of like, I almost wanted to hear like Kevin McCarthy's voice. You remember there was just something so great about how he, and if Magic scored, if the other team scored, he'd just say, Irvin Johnson, Kareem Jabbar. I mean, it was just really nothing to it. And even when the Mavericks scored, he did not go over the top. And of course they ask those guys to do that now, but it's amazing to me, the dancing dog up on the old Jumbotron. Yeah. And to your point, Reunion. I told a story yesterday. As a kid, I thought, in my mind, the song Shout, which was featured, I think, on Animal House, and was the old Isley Brothers song and all that you knew forever, right? But in my mind, that was like the Maverick song, Yeah.
It'd been around a while but Shout and by the Isleys and Start Me Up by the Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
That was and of course, Norm Stein, there's a line in Start Me Up that Norm Stein, a fine Christian gentleman and a good guy, by the way. I don't know if he ever listened to the song because there's a line in there that I don't think he would have allowed to happen there at Reunion, but after a while you couldn't take it away because it was something that, like Shout, it became it became part of the fabric of Reunion Arena.
That was, it's interesting you brought up Cuban. Generally for a big thing like that, he'd kind of like to be there, maybe even saying a few words. He doesn't mind, getting involved in things like that, right? I did not see him at the arena last night, which is, again, I have not, maybe you've read or seen an explanation for that, but I thought that was kind of interesting and a little bit telling. And unfortunately, Brad Davis was not there, although his jersey hangs in the rafters. Now, Brad's had some health thing. So
I think so. Yeah,
yeah,
Brad.
yeah, yeah. That
God
might have
bless
been it.
Brad. I hope Brad's good. I hope that.
Yeah,
Cuban
but
is a busy man these days in politics and putting
you think
together drug deals, legal drug deals. You know
it's
what I'm talking
right.
about.
That's
And
right. He's in the pharmaceutical business, so to speak.
pharmaceutical
Yeah,
space.
yeah,
But so that, I mean, a lot of things could have been involved there. And the reason I brought up, Mark Cuban's name is he was a fan. Basically, he was a fan when Aguirre was here.
yeah,
And he followed this team closely. So, then as he became owner, I never heard Mark Aguirre's name mentioned except by Derek brought it up to me, Derek Harper,
oh, okay,
a couple
yeah,
of times. And
yeah,
Derek wasn't even in. He said, they ought to retire Mark's number. And I said, Derek, that ain't going to happen.
yeah,
Nor should it happen. Well, no, yeah, but you got to look at it, the other things and the basketball thing. But I'll say this for Derek. Derek and Rowe, and Derek was late getting in, but they finally put him in. Cuban did that. I appreciated that. But Derek and Rowe campaigned for Mark Aguirre all these years. They wanted him in. And I really felt good for Aguirre, even though I was the one maybe ripping him in the newspapers and on the radio more than anybody at the time for his attitude and that type thing. But I really felt good for Mark when you watch that, like yesterday afternoon, Matt, the press conference, he breaks down.
yeah.
And I didn't see, like I said, I saw a lot. It seemed like he held up during the halftime thing. But I mean, you talk about a guy who seemed totally appreciative of this happening. He was, and that wasn't the Mark of many years ago that we all knew. That was not that was not him. But last night, maybe that was the real Mark. And by the way, let's give Mark credit too, because when the Mavericks finally said we got to let this guy go, they made the trade with Detroit. Mark went on to win 2 NBA titles as really a guy coming off the bench a lot for Detroit, but he was an integral part of those teams, without a doubt. And out of that trade, the Mavericks got Adrian Dantley. Oh God, that was not a good trade. And I don't think Dantley ever wanted to be here, and I think that was evident the whole time he was here. So everything worked out well for Mark after he left here, not so much for the Mavericks.
I mean, a lot of people didn't want to be there, especially in those early days. As you recall, Kiki Vandeweghe, I guess they select him and he just refused to show up.
Yeah, that was the first year
draft or something. Yeah.
Wasn't that 80? I think
it might have been right there at the start. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was he said, I'm not playing for an expansion team. His daddy got involved in all that. And so, it was, but you could kind of see that. But boy, when Mark was here and the players they had, the rows, and then you could see something coming. And Mark could see something coming, but I mean, Mark was just Mark. And like I said, he was basically an a-hole in those days. And I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But a heck of a player, just a heck of a player. I'm glad they put his number. I was asked that by 10 years ago. Would you be for, and people knew, I mean, the Derek Harpers and people like that, they knew my stance on Aguirre all those years he was here and what I was writing and saying about him. Would you be for that? And even then I went, yeah. I think you just kind of forget. You got to forget the bad stuff. Yeah. Concentrate on the good. But nobody ever had the idea until Doofus from Vegas and his side. Well, I think Cuban hired this guy. Whoever the guy is, used to be with Golden State. Some kind of, he's a front office cat president. You may know his name. But yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in, and good for Mark. Good for Mark.
It's funny to watch footage of him last night of like dunking and being really athletic, because in my mind he always had this huge rear end.
Yeah.
And he would palm the ball, and he just was so strong. And to me, he was kind of like almost like Barkley before Barkley, but because he wasn't that tall. Mark was probably about 6'6". Barkley was probably only 6'4", 6'5". But he wasn't probably as athletic or as explosive of Barkley. But I guarantee you, when he first showed up, he was plenty athletic. It's just funny because you imagine him, even with the Pistons, as being one of those more old school 80s, take your time, back them down, but Lord knows he could score. And speaking of that, did you? I know you love watching all these games, and even though the Mavs screwed up with the whole Luka thing, and you and I have talked about that. This Cooper Flag goes 19 years old, and he goes for 49 last night, which I thought that was. And I mean, that's the most Aguirre ever had. Aguirre back in the day, he was mad. You know, as you said, Aguirre was always mad about something, and he was angry he didn't get into the All-Star game. And so one night against the Sixers, who were loaded, 85, still had Dr. J and others, Moses and the whole gang, Mo Cheeks. Mark goes off for 49 points. Last night, Cooper Flag, the teenager that he is, goes off for 49. What a display. Randy, we may be, I mean, you talk about some ownership and everybody now, and it's too late for Nico, but lucking out to get this kid who, you know, he's someone I think you can probably build around for the next decade if they can, you know, keep him here. That's a pretty amazing thing to watch, isn't it?
Oh, you got to love it. And I'll tell you the truth. Even though the kid Marshall, I've liked watching him play. I like watching the undrafted rookie at point guard. I like watching him, but I don't even, if Cooper Flag is not playing, I usually don't watch. Hate to say that, but that's just kind of the way it is. But no, and again, it wasn't any brainwave by the organization, certainly not Nico, that allowed the Mavericks to end up with this kid. It was luck. A lot of people say it was fixed. The NBA was rewarding the Mavericks for trading Luka to their number one franchise, so to speak, the Lakers. And I'm a conspiracy theory guy, Matt, as you know, but I don't even believe that. I mean, I've got to go with just flat got lucky.
Yeah.
And it will be, whoo. I mean, how good could this kid be? And I'm reading like on Athletic and some of the stuff. I still read all that, Matt. Early on, when unfortunately kid had him playing point guard, but still didn't understand that. But by the way, that may have helped him. That, those 8 or 10 games at point guard. But even, and I don't know whether that was a factor or not, but I'm reading some of these NBA Einsteins in the media saying, well, Cooper Flag is going to be probably a heck of a player. But in the next draft, meaning the one coming up this year, he wouldn't even be top 5 pick. I'll say this, there ain't a player in college right now that you would take over Cooper Flag. So, I mean, that was like those comments right there, 2 weeks into the season, the dumbest stuff going. But, yeah, the Cooper Flag thing, and just attitude-wise, and the way he carries himself, apparently the work ethic that he has, all that stuff, Matt's amazing, really amazing. And, that's why there's hope for this team. He gives hope for the future to everybody involved.
More hope, would you say, than Jerry's Cowboys, who now have hit 30?
Wow.
It's now official, 30 years. And of course, you were going to all those Super Bowls and covering those great teams. Does it? It is amazing. And then to hear Jerry say that he'd like to catch Robert Kraft before Jerry said he would
Oh,
retire
oh,
after winning as many as Kraft has. Kraft is going. I mean, that's when you just need to go check Jerry. Hey, we need to get him. We need to get him to the doctor.
or by the way, or Matt, take away the Johnny Walker Blue. That's when you have to say. That's when Jerry, no more booze, okay? And let's hope it's just booze. I don't know, because that kind of statement,
Yeah,
where in the world did that one come
yeah,
from? And you have to
yeah,
wonder, was he just like joking us when he said it? But man, it
yeah.
didn't seem like he was joking us.
No,
Yeah, it was just like,
no.
yeah, I'd like to catch Kraft. Well, Kraft's got 6. Jerry, you got 3. And now
Yeah,
Kraft's back in for a 7th. Going to be playing for a 7th. So even though Kraft seems like a pig too, he got lucky. He got lucky. But man, I do think this: as long as Jerry is in charge, nothing will change. Said that for the last 30 years, frankly. Said that really since the Gymster left town. And then a couple of years later, the Gymster players were scattering and going to the White House and doing a lot of different things. And everything kind of came apart. But nothing's going to change with the Cowboys while Jerry is in charge. And Jerry's going to be in charge until the day he dies. And unfortunately, Jerry's going to outlive us all. I mean, that's just the way it's shaping up. Because he looks in pretty good shape to me.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you.
I don't know about brain wise when he makes
Yeah,
some of the statements he makes.
but again, it'd be one thing, but he was making similar statements when we were talking to him 20, 25 years ago, right?
Absolutely, you're
So
right.
we haven't. How would we ever know if we saw slippage?
Yeah.
But hey, last thing I had for you, I've loved our visit, and this worked out great because people get to see the young, dashing Galloway, and boy, the voice still sounds very, very strong. And by the way, still pretty dashing, I must add, for a man who's entered his 80s. I don't think we're trying to hide that at this point.
No, I mean, I was
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, I was 83. So, and I'm proud of that because
Happy
a lot of
birthday.
people had
Yeah.
a lot of people had the under on that when they were betting. Me reaching. In fact, I think everybody, including my wife, had the under on that.
Yeah.
Reaching 83. So now I'm going for 90, and then we'll throw a big party.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would like to. Yeah, I'd like to certainly be invited to that, if possible. This Bill Belichick thing the other day. Do you find that, given what he was accused of and proven, by the way, in Spygate, but knowing that a lot of the public out there goes, good, I'm glad this happened. Do you take the side of this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, him not being a first ballot, or are you a little bit find some humor in him having to wait, given sort of the cloud that's been over him since he was involved in some of the, and again, never proven on Deflategate, certainly proven on Spygate.
I agree with both your points. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Well, not ever, but it's the dumbest thing you can imagine, him not being a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I do kind of delight in it because just the kind of human being he is. But no, the guy has got to go in. And, I say this all the time. And I said it, I was never an NFL Hall of Fame voter, but I was a baseball Hall of Fame voter for 42 years. And just aged out on that. 10 years after retirement, you can't vote anymore. And I totally agree with that rule. It's a good rule. So last year I aged out on voting in the Baseball Hall of Fame. But man, the thing that has always chapped me forever, and I think most baseball writers agree with this, and I don't know about the football writers, but I would have to think a lot of them agree with it. You solve a lot of this if you make your ballot and your votes, make them public. That's your responsibility to pick people for the Baseball Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame, and let's see how everybody voted. Every ballot ought to be, every vote ought to be released. This is how Randy Galloway voted. This is how Matt Mosley voted. Everyone should be released. The baseball writers, a few years ago, 5, 6, 7, I don't know, whatever it was, I was in total agreement with this. Somebody came up with all ballots will be made public. And then it was in Cooperstown, the Baseball Hall of Fame people. The executive director said, no, we're not going to do that because some guys don't want it and they will not vote. Well, so what? You got 450 voting. And if we lose 20, does that really matter? I mean, and by the way, if you did not want how you vote revealed, you shouldn't be voting anyway. But they said, we'll do this. On every ballot that you received, you can check a square. I will allow my vote to be released. And if anybody asks, how'd Randy Galloway vote? Then we'll tell them. So I always check that square, and most everybody did. But in the NFL, you don't have any of that. And also the NFL, I hate the way the NFL look is, and Deion Sanders, of all people, brought this up. He brought this up 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was. It's cheapened the vote. The NFL has cheapened the vote for the NFL Hall of Fame, and they want 6, 7 people inducted every year because they want all these fans coming to Canton. Well, Cooperstown wants that too, but guess what? Some years nobody may go in. I mean, there have been years when nobody went to baseball because it is hard to get in. Mm-hmm. They have cheapened the vote, and they continue to cheapen it by the way they do it. And I just read one of the Kansas City NFL writers came out, and he said, I did not vote for Bill Belichick, and here's why. And it made sense. Mm. He voted for the 3 veteran players on the same ballot. And you can only vote for 3 of the 5 because he thought those players should be in, and he thought Belichick, he'd probably be the only one that didn't vote for Belichick.
Yes.
Well, at least 11 didn't vote for him. So he didn't get in. So I think the NFL is totally screwed up. Our friend, longtime friend, Tim Kalishaw, writes a column today in the Morning News I totally disagree with. Well, if Baseball Hall of Fame screwed up too because they let Carlos Beltran in after the cheating scandal in Houston, and he was the one kind of that set the thing up, and so they let him in, but they don't let Barry Bonds in. And Tim's a big Barry. He was in San Francisco for a while. He's a big Bonds lover. And they don't let Roger Clemens in, and they don't let Alex Rodriguez in. Alex Rodriguez says he doesn't deserve to be in because he cheated even after they caught him. He did it again, and they caught him again. But Tim says, so baseball needs to, straighten up and let all the drug use. Well, look, I don't think what Beltran did compares to the steroid thing. Those performance-enhancing drugs, man.
Yeah.
And so I would have to agree with Tim totally on that concept. I just say one thing. You'll straighten a lot of this stuff out if everybody's vote is made public, Baseball Hall of Fame and NFL Hall of Fame. It's automatically made public. If you don't want that, then don't sign up to be a voter. Or you may be qualified, but tell them, no, I don't want to vote. Okay, just let it go with that. But, okay, that's my answer to that.
That was a good one. Man, I'm so glad I tracked you down. You had a grocery run earlier. People always ask me, what's Galloway doing? What's Galloway? They always want to know. So I give them that answer you've given people before about how you wake up and you drive around and look at S. I think is the answer you gave at one point. And they always enjoy that. So
still do that. Well, today I did have to go to Brookshire today, get to the grocery store. Yeah. They finally got that ice out in front of the store. melted away or they scraped it away. But, man, had to spend a lot of time when you first called down at the barn. And we got some freezing weather coming in tonight and tomorrow, and I had to get my horse ready for it, get the horse. Man, us ranchers have a lot of work to do in this weather like this. And I know a city boy like yourself wouldn't understand that, but does one horse and no cattle make you a rancher, Matt? By the way, I got a couple of hats. So I got 2 cowboy hats and 1 horse. And
that's good. Yeah.
No cattle. Okay.
And no cattle.
So it was busy today, busy time today.
Yeah. Well, I hope you'd stocked up. The only thing that would have you would have, everybody else was getting milk and toilet paper, and when I think about you, it's Miller Lite and Tabasco sauce. I think as long as you have those things, you feel like you're going to be okay.
Well, and you know what I got today? Coors Yellow Bellies. Those little squatty bottles of Coors, I've started drinking those. That takes me back 40, 50 years ago. Love those things. And they're rather high these days, $11 for a 6-pack of this bottle of squatty bodies of the Coors Yellow Bellies. Yeah, man. So I've got that. In fact, I got it out in the truck right now. I got to go get it out of there, man.
I just was thinking, it's the last thing I'll say, but that's the maddest. Probably you've been mad at me a lot over the years, but I think the angriest you've been, I won't tell the circumstances, but one night when I decided to pour out one of your beers.
Oh.
That was not. And I think Frito, the late great Frito, is actually recording some of that. What transpired after I made that fateful decision. I think I'll just pour this out, and it did not go over well.
Yeah. It was a good time.
Oh man, that's probably out there at Surprise, Arizona, covering some of that spring training. Of course, pitchers and catchers will show up here pretty soon.
They will. We're about to get into that.
Yeah, but hey, thank you. I appreciate it, man. That was
Enjoyed
great.
it, man.
Yeah, all right. I'll tell everybody I said hi out there, and I will see you soon.
All right, see you later. Thanks.
All right. Randy Galloway, Kevin, you can now see why we had good time together for a lot of years on the radio, and Galloway and Company, they called it. I was part of the company, and we used to have, there would be 3 of us, and then there was just the 2 of us, but we had a really good run over about a decade. And then one day he just left me. He just retired, and I was left, and I did another 3 years. I brought the guy he just brought up, Tim Calishaw. I brought him on to do radio. We lasted another 3 years there at 103.3, but had about a decade there before the station ended up as a religious station, if you could imagine. But had a lot of fun over the years.